Welcome to the Edgeworth Echoes podcast, discovering Edgeworth's town, a hidden gem of Irish history.
Welcome to this episode of Edgeworth Echoes. This is your host, John. In this episode, we learn something about the Edgeworth Society and the different aspects of it and its activities. As we will hear later, the Edgeworth Society has been in existence for a good few years, looking at the history of the town and the Edgeworths, building up a network of contacts in various fields willing to help the Society achieve their goals. It's not always smooth sailing and can sometimes be frustrating, but as time has gone on, the people we have met, the stuff we have learned, the goals we have achieved have all been so satisfying. As the host of the Edgeworth Echoes podcast, I will start with introducing myself. John McGarr. I have been interested in history for years, was on the committee that published 2 books of local history. I have collected local history, photos, audio, video and articles, many of which I have recorded myself. I help with the maintenance of our website, act as a guide on the literary trail when required, and volunteer at the Centre and the Literary Festival. Matt Farrell has been involved with local heritage and history for decades, and his contributions earned him the National Title Award of Heritage Hero for 2016. He conducts tours of the town as part of the Literary Trail, is active in the organisation and promotion of the Literary Festival and the Edgeworth Centre, and is constantly working to promote the town's history and heritage. In this clip, he tells us a bit about the history of the Society and how it has developed and grown since its inception back in the 1960s.
The Edgeworth Society was established in Edgeworthstown in the 1960s. It was the brainchild of Moira McElderry, who was the wife of the local Ulster bank manager. The Society was made up of a number of local people, and its main aim was to preserve, conserve and promote the legacy of the great female author Maria Edgeworth and her wider family. 2 of its aims were that the town should have a library worthy of the family's legacy and a museum dedicated to the Edgeworth family. The early members of the Society laid a great foundation stone, and this is borne out by the fact that the work of the Society continues to this day. Like most voluntary organisations, it has had its ups and downs, but we are glad to say that the 2 main objectives of the founding members have been achieved. In 2019, a museum was opened in an 1840 school, of which Maria Edgeworth was one of the first patrons. And in 2021, a new library was opened in the town. It was built on the site gifted by the community and which was once the site of the Edgeworth School. The legacy of one of Ireland's foremost female authors of the 19th century is now well established. There is a great academic interest in her life and works, and this interest is now receiving wider public appeal, with visitors visiting the museum from all parts of the globe. To widen the appeal for visitors, it was decided to develop the Edgeworth Trail. With the agreement of the owners of sites associated with the town's rich heritage, the trail was developed. Visitors can now visit St Mary's Church with its fine Harry Clark stained glass windows, the walled garden of Maria Edgeworth's ancestral home, the market house, which Maria built with proceeds from the sale of an inherited set of diamond earrings. St John's Church, located in the shade of the rectory, which was once the home of Oliver Goldsmith while receiving his education in the town. It was the birthplace of the Abbé Edgeworth, who was to become confessor to Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, and it is also the place where Isla Wilde, sister to Oscar Wilde, died at the tender age of 9. In St. John's there are beautiful French stained glass windows and memorials to the Edgeworth family. It is also the burial place of Isla Wilde. The trail ends at the wonderful Maria Edgeworth Centre, with its remarkable collection of books, artefacts, manuscripts and objects. It is housed in what is believed to be the last remaining school of its type, built after the passing of the 1831 Education Act, in which the Edgeworth played a major part in its passing. The experience is available at the moment in 7 languages, with plans to expand this. In the future, although restricted by available space, we would like to develop an observatory and astronomy dome. The Edgeworths had a great interest in science and astronomy, with Maria's sister being married to Reverend Romney Robinson, Royal Astronomer in Armagh, William Herschel, who discovered Uranus, and his sister, the famous female astronomer Caroline Herschel, visited Edgeworthstown in the 1800s. Inquiries about our attractions can be found at mariaedgeworthcentre.com.
Angela Chute has been an active member of the Edgeworth Society for many years and was one of the original group that came up with the idea for the Edgeworth Literary Festival, and over the years has been chairperson, workshop organiser, researcher and dedicated committee member who has helped the festival grow and expand from its earliest days. In her spare time she is also an artist. In this clip she tells us about the origins of the festival and how it has reinvented itself to cover not just literature but music, arts and drama as well.
Hello, I have been asked on numerous occasions, when did the Maria Edgeworth Literary Festival start and where did it start? And so I'll just give a brief outline of it. Back in 1995, a group of 5 people came together and we were trying to see what we would help to promote and help the town, Edgeworthstown itself. So we identified that the people of Edgeworthstown, that they're very proud of the rich cultural and literary heritage through the connection with the Edgeworth family. So 5 people came and we started the Maria Edgeworth Literary Festival, and the founder members were Gráinne Dugan, Lord rest Gráinne, Jenny Sharkey, Breda Sullivan, June Murphy and myself, Angela Chute. The first Maria Edgeworth Literary Festival weekend was held on the 22nd to the 24th of March 1996. A large number of people came to the town throughout the weekend, and it kicked off on the Friday night in the old schoolhouse here in Edgeworthstown, with the official opening performed by none other than Deputy Albert Reynolds. The National Poetry and Short Story Competition winners accepted their awards and read from their prize-winning entries. And our own native Dr. Philip Brady read from his latest publication of poetry and launched the wonderful book, the first edition of the Edgeworth Papers, Volume 1. So the weekend continued then with workshops on the Saturday morning, with readings and musical recitations in Our Lady's Manor. It was the former home of the Edgeworth family. So a very successful Edgeworth lecture was given by Dr. Patrick Murray, I think he was from Cork, in the Park House Hotel, Edgeworthstown. The Belfast Writers Group added great flavour to the weekend, and we were delighted to welcome those multi-talented visitors, and they were in conjunction with Cooperation North to participate in the weekend events. Then on the Sunday, we all headed to Arda Heritage Centre for lunch, and there were informal readings and open mics, and great fun was had. The major success of the first Maria Edgeworth Literary Festival far exceeded the committee's expectations, and it was now set to become a permanent fixture in the national literary calendar. I'm delighted to say that this year, 2024, is our 28th festival. And over the years, we have attracted some very prestigious writers to our town to give readings, lectures, and workshops. Names like J.P. Dunleavy, John F. Dean, Deirdre Purcell, Brian Layden. We've had Von O'Rourke, Lawrence Foster. We had Pat Bourne, Professor Terence Patrick Dolan, with Michael Harding, Dr. Margaret Kelleher, Professor Iggy McGovern, Pat McCabe, Anne Enright. The list could go on. We had so many inspirational writers visiting Edgeworthstown. We've also held the Midlands primary competitions, going into the national schools, and that attracted great interest throughout the years. With the Deirdre Purcell Perpetual Cup, much sought after. We had children's workshops with the great inspirational writers, like we had Marita Connan McKenna, Michael Mullen, Don Conroy. We had Mary Melvin Gagan, Tom McCaughren, Sarah Webb. And this encourages the cultural creativity of the younger generation. We also had numerous workshops and competitions for the second level schools. We've had the real Maria Edgeworth in full costume entertain the audiences throughout the years with an insight into her view of life in Ireland, Connemara men, and many other subjects. The part was brilliantly played by Nora Connolly, she's a costume artist, and she kept returning to her hometown here since the inauguration of the Literary Festival. She is a native of Dublin. We have broadened and expanded the festival throughout the years. We have art workshops, art exhibitions. We have artisan market showcasing arts and crafts from the Midlands. We've had lots of children, natural craft workshops, soap making workshops, biodiversity workshops. We've had, last year we had an international conference. It was the Education of a Nation was the theme, and it was the role of the Edgeworths in the celebration. It was a celebration of the 225th anniversary of the Edgeworth book, Practical Education. So that was a very big event. It attracted people from all over Ireland and abroad. One of the highlights as well, on the Sunday, we started the 18th century Mastrum Tea Party, and that attracts great fun, and we've had drama incorporating the Mastrum players and Longford writers and choral society recitals, and so we're expanding every year. We have a very hard-working group of volunteers. I suppose over the years we've had some people came and some people went from the committee, so I'm still on, still as a founder member. I'm still here. Maybe it's time for me to retire. But our committee now for 2024 is John McGurr Jr., Janine Roder, Matt Farrell, Mary Kelly, Gretty Hannon, and Elizabeth Fitzsimons. Festival this year is on the 10th to the 12th of May. And so looking forward to meeting you all there. Thank you.
Maria Edgeworth Centre opened in 2019. And one of the people who has come in to help with running the centre is Janine Roder, a German lady with a love of history who has been living in Ireland for the past 9 years. She works as a tour guide for German tour groups and also works at the centre. In order to learn more about the centre, I sent her a short questionnaire. So here are my questions and her replies. Let's start at the beginning with the opening of the centre. Where did it all start?
See, it all started with the Edgeworth Society. For years, they collected artifacts and briefly housed them in a small exhibition at the rectory here in Edgeworthstown. However, with the backing of Fáilte Ireland, the Maria Edgeworth Centre opened in December 2019, occupying the old schoolhouse in Edgeworthstown. Throughout the COVID pandemic, it remained closed for a while, unfortunately, but following the easing of the restrictions, we were finally able to welcome visitors year-round.
What would a visitor see in the centre if they were to visit?
In the Maria Edgeworth Centre, people will embark on a journey through 3 different rooms. The first room serves as an introduction to the Edgeworth family, showcasing their connections with renowned politicians, writers, and inventors, many of whom actually visited Edwardstown. Then, moving into the second room, visitors will step back in time to a replicated 19th century schoolroom, decorated with original school artifacts. Here they will uncover the influence the Edwards family had on the Irish national education system. Then, going upstairs to the third room, visitors can delve deeper into the fascinating world of Richard Lowell Edwards' inventions, while also being introduced to the esteemed figure of Abby Edwards.
How did you get involved with the centre?
I started working here during COVID. I'm actually a tour guide on coach tours across Ireland, and I've always felt a pang of disappointment that the rich history of the Midlands often goes unnoticed. Destinations such as Carlair Tregway, the Sunken Bog Road nearby, or Red Crohan, which I believe hold more or greater significance than Newgrange, or also Tullanelly Castle, just to mention a few of the hidden gems around here. They all should be up there with places like the Cliffs of Moher up on Retty. So, as a blow in from Germany, I was honestly captivated by the prospect of contributing to the promotion of such fascinating history here in Ireland's hidden heartlands. Being involved in uncovering more about the Edwards family and their connections is just incredible. It actually never ceases to amaze me how much influence they had.
Have visitors been impressed or complimentary about the centre?
I do think so. Here at the center, we offer self guided audio tours, and I typically recommend planning at least an hour for a visit. However, quite often visitors say they will be back because they feel they couldn't absorb everything in one go. Despite being a small museum with just 3 rooms, it's packed with information and fascinating facts. I'm pleased to say that nearly every visitor leaves reminiscing about their school days after experiencing our recreation of a 19th century schoolroom. They also just can't believe that Maria was more famous than Jane Austen at the time. It fills me with pride to know that people enjoy their visits and often leave brimming with enthusiasm to delve deeper into certain aspects.
Have there been any notable visitors to the centre?
Oh, yes, we've had the pleasure of hosting a few notable visitors, including nationwide with Mary Kennedy, the French ambassador Vincent Gerard, and Thomas Pakenham, amongst others. Many descendants of the Edwards family have also made the journey to visit us. Not to mention our literary festival, which always draws well known writers, along with numerous academics who specialize in Edward studies, such as Susan Manley, Cleona Gallagher, and Joanna Wharton. We are really grateful for the ongoing support and friendship of many patrons who have stayed with us throughout all these years.
So, what about the immediate future? What plans have you?
Future plans. Beside our annual festival, typically held in May, this year we were selected to host the National Famine Commemoration, which is a huge honor, including a short visit from the Taoiseach to our museum. So we're delighted about this and looking forward to it. Then, with the generous backing of the Heritage Council, we are planning the reenactment of Richard Lowell Edwards' telegraph experiment, this time between Galway and Dublin, for Heritage Week in August this year. Recently, we secured funding, which we intend to utilize for fortifying the longevity of our exhibition, and it will also facilitate the enhancement of accessibility in our museum through the installation of a lift, ensuring the wheelchair access. We are also in the midst of organizing an exhibition in Paris for 2025.
Are there any exhibits or items in the collection that you feel is a must-see for visitors?
A must-see in the museum. Please don't get me started. There are countless little treasures to explore. Personally, I have a soft spot for the old school books. They offer such a fascinating glimpse into the past, with certain aspects so different from today's textbooks. And then there's the old typewriter. Now, Imagine, during a visit from the transition year students from St. Mel's 2 years ago, I actually had to explain what it is and how it works. It truly amazed me that they had never seen one before. I just couldn't believe it. It's a stark reminder of how rapidly times are changing.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. A longer one than usual, but one that I hope gives you an insight into what the Society does and what its aims are. If you'd like to get involved with the Society, you can reach us via our website or drop into the centre any day we are open. Please like and share these podcasts and subscribe so you don't miss out. Until next time. If you're interested in learning more about the Society and the history they preserve, please visit www.mariaedgeworthcentre.com. You can sign up to our newsletter, book tours, learn about our annual literary festival and read up on some of the remarkable people who have links to our town.
This has been the Edgeworth Echoes podcast, rediscovering history.